it seems like Tatum just finally clicked and he's caught the fire, man. I think he had 50. So that dude, if that dude's clicking and Brown is just kind of like, man, if I can give in like 20, 25, man, who gonna beat him?
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and guest hosting with us today, we've got two of the OCP team correspondents. We've got one of my favorite co-workers, Mike King. Mike, how are you on this Wind Up Wednesday episode?
Doing well. Ready for another.
All right, and we've got Captain for Life, Cotton Man himself, Will Cotton. Will, thanks for sitting in for my tag team partner. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I've been playing well on golf, man. I've been playing very well. So let's keep it rolling.
Okay. Well, I'm just happy to be sitting up right after last week, but that's another story, fans. So in segment 1, we're going to talk conference finals preview. In segment 2, we're going to take a deep dive into Ja Morant and the Phoenix Suns decision making. Come on, man. And in segment 3, we'll talk WNBA conference expansion as we get ready for the upcoming season at the end of this week. But fellas, Eastern Conference Final is set. It is Miami. It is Boston. Let's talk Miami first, man. Miami played in the play-in game, and now they're in the conference finals. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. The thing I like about the Heat is that they know their role. Everybody plays within themselves, and coaching matters. And I'm going to start with Will, because an expression we have used throughout our entire lives is that brotherhood begins with shared pain. And the Miami Heat entered the play-in tournament at the number 7 seed. They lost to the Atlanta Hawks, who they should have lost to. And since then, they have just been eliminating people. So, Will, any thoughts on the Miami Heat, man? What do you think?
Man, the Heat came out of nowhere, and they were one of the teams that Bill Simmons actually mentioned. He was like, they're a scary team that's going to beat the Bucks or the Boston, at least coming into that playoff. They were very high coming in. Everybody knows their role. I think they hurt Tyler Hero, but Duncan Robinson has been playing very well. Everybody else, I think Strus has been playing very well. It'll just keep it up. But at the same time, remember, the Celtics were the same. They were in the finals. They lost. And then they come into this season with a very tough offseason. Their coach, Coach Udoka.
Yeah.
Ime Udoka. He had an issue, got kicked out of the team for all issues that he was doing on. I won't talk about that, but he got kicked off the team. They were the same kind of thing. People were like, oh, are they going to make it back? They got an assistant coach running the team now. And these guys are flowing. And if you watch them play, man, it seems like Tatum just finally clicked and he's caught the fire, man. I think he had 50. So that dude, if that dude's clicking and Brown is just kind of like, man, if I can give in like 20, 25, man, who gonna beat him? And they play defense. They shut them down. It was believable. I think it's gonna be.
I'll hold off on Boston. Mr. King, any thoughts on the Heat before I redirect Mr. Cotton on Boston?
I mean, Jimmy Butler. look at what he does every game. Jimmy Butler. It's a star league. It's a star.
Yeah. And they play such an unorthodox way of playing basketball. And Coach Franchise and I always have that Pat Riley sitting in the corner with the arms crossed. You just play harder when you see that guy do that. But since Will brought it up, let's go to Boston.
Yep.
Okay. Cotton, man, they have the best roster in the Eastern Conference. I will concede that. Their coach is holding them back. And you've heard me rant all series, all playoffs. They should beat the Heat, but damn, the Heat maximize every ounce of talent that they have. They maximize it. Meanwhile, Boston takes too many plays off. And please don't tell me about scoring 50 on Philadelphia. If I'm not mistaken, Glenn Rivers was coaching that game. And I have shared with you data on top of data on top of data. And when was the last time James Harden got skinny off a screen? I don't want to. No, man. They should have beat them in 5 or 6 and kept it moving. So go ahead, Will. Any thoughts or any predictions on the Boston-Miami series?
I like Boston. I think Boston's going to win the series. But the one thing, and I was actually listening to NBA radio, Quentin Richardson was on there, and he said Jimmy Butler is one of the only players who is an All NBA team player. In the playoff, becomes an MVP caliber player. Now he is elevating to a level where it's like, yo, if he's playing the way he's playing, there's no margin for error for Boston. Like you said, if they're taking plays off, Jimmy's going to kill him. So if they can eliminate those lapses,
that's a lot of lapses. And Spo is not going to let you come back from 15 and 20 on a regular basis like Boston did with Philly and getting down. They'll put a foot on your neck.
Oh,
Mr. King, any predictions for Boston, Miami?
I mean, in my lifetime, best player wins more often than anything. I mean, best team usually has the best player, but usually best player is on the winning side. So that's why I'll go Jimmy Butler.
All right. Will, who do you have, Boston or Miami?
Man, I'm gonna stick with Boston.
I got Boston at 6. They're a better team, and if you coach halfway decent, you got All NBA first team, second team versus Jimmy Butler and the Miracles. So Jimmy Butler and some backup singers should not beat Boston in the postseason. All right, there's some shoot the wops in there, but let's move over to the Western Conference. As my partner says, wake me up when you get to the West. Denver versus the Lakers. So let me get to Denver first because, Will, you know how much I love Denver because they've been quiet all year. No noise, no drama. They play in altitude. The Nuggets didn't deal with a lot of injuries, and they're older. And this ain't the 2020 team from the bubble. Mm-hmm. So with that, Will, what are you thinking about the Denver Nuggets?
Denver Nuggets, they're looking the best. I mean, right now, they just dismantled the Suns. How can you – he just dismantled. Now, don't get me wrong. DeAndre Ayton is not Anthony Davis, in any aspect. So it's not going to be a walk in the park like he had last time. But, the thing that you need is confidence. That's all you need. And if they believe they can – and they have a chip on their shoulder. They lost in 2020, and they felt like they were the better team. So they should be coming here with the edge as a team that's ready to beat. But as we remember, and we'll talk about the Lakers later, the Nuggets will have a surprise for them when they run into them. Don't get me wrong.
All right, Mr. King, what do you think about the Nuggets, my friend?
Look at the stat lines all playoff long for the best player left in the playoffs. He just 40 without trying, 10 rebounds without trying, 10 assists without trying every game. It's remarkable.
I love the Joker.
It's remarkable.
I love the Joker.
So good. So good.
I do. All right. Go ahead, Mike.
Just him. That's all I need to know. Like I said last time, I go by player, and that's the guy.
You couldn't slide another paper under his feet, but that boy can ball, man.
I love it, man. All right, we're gonna talk about the Lakers. So son of Festus, you were correct. Coach was wrong. He said, Coach, don't bet against LeBron. And so I did, and I did it twice, and would do it again. But we'll get to that in a moment. But the Lakers started off season 2-10 under first-year coach Darvin Ham. They completely overhauled their roster, said goodbye to some malcontents. I wish we could do that in all industries, but that's, again, another story. They are the second number 7 seed to reach the conference finals since 1984, joining the 87 Supersonics. What if Jack Sikma was still playing on that team? The Lakers are 7-0 at home in the postseason. LeBron James is in his 12th conference final. His teams are 10-1 with his only loss coming with the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2009. He's won 41 postseason series in his 20-year career. It's LeBron. There's a lot of accolades going there. Well, what are we thinking about the Lakers, sir?
The biggest thing that I don't think we notice is that they're the best defensive rating team less. They're the best one on the best defensive team. LeBron is doing a great job of taking a step back. Let's remember the season he was averaging 30 points. In the playoffs, he's averaging 22, 19. He just exploded, obviously, for Game 6 for a reason. He had a point to prove. I get it, but the guy knows how to play, man, and he's learned that, man. Less is more for me. Now, remember, with the 2020 team, you had Dwight Howard, got JaVale McGee. Who do you got now? Rui. You got Vanderbilt. You got the size that you want.
And secondary for the Lakers is playing primary. And I'm a big fan of secondary guys stepping up, shot makers versus shot takers.
You got size. They got size. And you got AD, Vanderbilt, and you got Rui. And you're throwing at Jokic, man. I mean, he's not going to just be doing what he did in Phoenix. So other guys are going to have to hit shots. Jamal Murray's going to have to hit shots. Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to hit shots. But man, I mean, this is the team that was scary in the bubble, and they have the formula to beat them. So I think they're gonna surprise them, man. Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6. Okay, Mike, what are you thinking about the Lakers? And go ahead now and make your references that we joke about.
I mean, maybe they'll win this series, maybe, but then they'll lose in the final because they don't got that guy who doesn't lose in the final. Number 23, the real number 23. I mean, LeBron's been great. I mean, that was an impressive win. That was an impressive series win, and it's mainly him. Credit where it's due. I still think the best player in this series in 2023 is on the other team, so that's why I don't see the Lakers winning this one.
All right, fans. Mike is a long time power on the Jordan side of these arguments, so I'm laughing because I've heard these arguments. Isn't
it always the person you grew up watching that's always the guy. It's when you were a kid, the person you watch. That's always your number one. It has to be.
That's why Flair's still number one, not Michaels.
But the issue is he's not Mike. LeBron is a better version of Magic, and people try to say he's MJ, and I'm like, I don't see it. It's a different animal, So
I'll let y'all fight that. I'm going to kill this party by saying Denver at 6, and it rarely ends well. I've always said it rarely ends well. It's very rare that you get that send-off like Elway. I think that altitude's going to kick that guy in the butt. I've been to Denver, and Denver's one of the few places where Martin Luther King Street, Boulevard Avenue, there's like $1 million homes on there. And I'm sitting there saying, excuse me, is this MLK? Yes, sir. No, seriously. Is this MLK? So I walk like a block, Will, to just go to the store, and my chest was burning. So that altitude is real, okay? So again, I got Denver at 6. Will's got the Lakers. Mike, you got Denver or the Lakers? What you got?
Denver.
All right, so
Denver
we'll go with that. And when we get back, fans, we've got to talk about the news we heard about Ja Morant, as well as the news we heard about the Phoenix Suns firing Monty Williams. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision-making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA Save Project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Let's just say when Will hit me this morning, I didn't have this on my bingo card. Ja Morant. The Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after a video showing the star guard holding a gun began circulating on social media this past weekend. The Grizzlies announced the suspension, which is pending a league review. In a statement 2 months after the NBA suspended Morant over a similar incident, the team did not provide further comment. Will, I'm going to try to pause myself. So give me your initial thoughts before we actually go into the prior incident and all of this other stuff.
Well, I only got something to say like this. My great aunt, rest in peace, she used to have a saying, when ears don't hear, ass does feel. And he had a chance. He's had so many chances. I mean, they even talked to Adam Silver, and he sits down. He says, you can't be doing that. And his boys, because everyone's like, everyone's like he's hanging out the wrong people. But dude, we were all having a good time. And all of a sudden, you just pull a gun out. Even the dude was like, put his phone down. He was like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? I really think it's social media addiction. It's something where it's beyond to. It's like a crackhead. It's like, why are you stealing my PlayStation? Why are you stealing my VCR? What are you doing? Even you telling people it's something, because logically, it should never have happened. I'm flabbergasted, to be honest with you. I'm like your boy JR, flabbergasted. I don't know what's going on.
So Mike and fans, I gotta let you know, Mike is one of the finest teachers that I know, and we often talk education. And Mike's also a coach, and I'm glad I have Mike on to just share his thoughts. So, Mike, when you saw it, what were you thinking about, man?
So we go over certain things before the season, mandated from from the county, and one of the things is about social media use, and not to say certain things, not to do certain things, and you're responsible for what people end up saying. And it's a conversation that we have, and it's beyond sports. It's really just the youth in general. It's something where no one really understands that the things that you do last forever. Because once someone has a video on, if you're doing anything interesting, it takes 1 second for someone to have that on video. That's not what it was like 20 years ago. That's what it's like right now. So I don't know, as far as Ja goes, it's just like Will said, this is a lot of chances. Eventually, you got to get the message. And it's not just about that you're going to be videoed, but the behavior itself. But then knowing you're going to be videoed, you got to be more responsible about the things that you're doing. I think beyond his individual situation, it's something I'm sure teams are thinking about educating people that are going to be in their organization, people they draft, people they sign, about what the expectations of the organizations are. Because you don't represent yourself, you're more than yourself. You represent the team, you represent the fan base, you represent the owner, you represent the whole thing. It's a strange time we live in.
Yeah. And at the time of his suspension, Ja did an interview, and he said, and I quote, that he was going to try to be more responsible, more smarter, and staying away from all the bad decisions. He also mentioned in his exit interview that he knew he caused distraction. And, Franchise and I every week say we can't do distractions. Will played for me. He knows I have a disdain for anything that gets in the way of what we're trying to do. And I get mad at stuff like this because I have my own son. I hate 14. I tell people all the time I hate 14. Age 14 is terrible. And worry about hanging with people with nothing to lose. And even Will, brought up that his friend quickly, moved the camera away. But what are we doing that is the best decision at the moment? So we go back to the basics. You represent more than just yourself. And I think right now he's being very selfish. And the league's going to come down pretty hard on him. And it would not surprise me if he got a 20 to 30 game suspension. I think Memphis handled it very well because it's the offseason. There's nothing going on anyway. So it's easy to suspend. I'm a fan of suspension over, removal, from teams and things like that. And let's allow the process to take care of itself. So we wish the young man all the best. And we're going to move to Phoenix, where again, it rarely ends well. Phoenix is facing a full rebuild. And Monty Williams got caught in the new owner wanting his own people. So although league-wide, Monty Williams is universally beloved for his basketball knowledge, his acumen, and his skill, quite frankly, Phoenix wants to go in a different direction, and that is the owner's right. So, Will, when you heard the news about Monty Williams, you couldn't have been surprised, or were you?
I wasn't shocked. I think that's the new kind of trend going on with the NBA is guys are like, look, yeah, you've won a chip for me, but what have you done for me? What have you done like lately? Nick Nurse won a chip, let go. Budenholzer in the Bucks, let go. Even Nate McMillan, who took the Hawks to the finals, they let him go for Quinn Snyder, and that guy's never been to the finals. So on one hand, it's like, I understand what's happening, but I also say that Monty Williams is also kind of lucky, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Phoenix is not in a place you want to be the next couple, 2-3 years. You got two shooters. You got an aging point guard who can't really stay healthy. You got a disgruntled center who doesn't want to play, and you have no cap space to pay any kind of valuable kind of players. I mean, I don't think they're going to get any better. It's tough, and they got to bring in a new coach to now run a new scheme and everything.
And Durant went there to play for Monty. Good luck with that.
Yeah, so it's Monty's going to come up because right now you have a ton of teams who don't have jobs, like the Bucks, like the Wizards. Hope they should take a look at, but there's a ton of teams that they can hire him. The Bucks, the Raptors. I mean, Monty he can choose what he wants. If he wants to keep playing, he can play. I think the options to go to another of those better teams like Toronto or go to the Bucks, that's where you can go, man. So maybe it's a blessing by disguise, but they say it was mutual. It's funny because it was mutual, and all of a sudden now it was he got fired. I'm like, wait a minute now, it can't be mutual and he being fired. We both agree that I'm not going to do it anymore, which makes sense, as you said, the new owner. But I can't be fired. Which is prerogative, which is fair. It's like, hey, this is what you want. I didn't do it, but I can roll out. I can do my thing, which is way different than, hey, you did a terrible job. You're fired. So the vocabulary that's going out, the terminology needs to be corrected because it was mutual and he wasn't fired. And I hate when people say that because when other coaches, quote unquote, will be mutually let go. But that's another conversation. So,
all right. So Mike, as somebody who's probably worked for about 5 to 7 principals, you have seen turnover in a way that very few have seen it. What are you thinking about the move that Phoenix made?
I think I had 5 principals my first 7 years.
Okay, we tried to glance over that, but that's another story.
I'll say, let's see. This is an NHL thing, right? Like NHL, they fire people after like two games. That's just what they do. Last year's 3 Coach of the Year finalists have all been fired last year. All been fired a year. So this is more of an NHL thing than an NBA thing. But like you said, better for him. A lot of good jobs, and that doesn't seem like one of them. But it is crazy. Coach of the Year 2 years ago.
Yeah. Something like that.
Hottest team after the bubble. They were the hottest team since.
And all of those moves were not coach created. They were GM owner created. And as Will said, they got no movement. They got no cap space. They got to get rid of Paul. They got to get rid of Aiden. They got to get some pieces back. In the new CBA, teams are punished for spending at a certain rate. So
Have the Suns had a 3-year window as good as this in the last? I mean, they've had some decent teams, but as good as this?
No, they had some good teams. They had the
It's a
Steve
good team.
Nash era.
Yeah,
They had the
Steve
Steve
Nash.
Nash era.
They have
don't
3
forget
years.
the Barkley era.
The Barkley era. You know,
they have good errors, but these 3 years is right up there with those other
Yep.
times.
One final appearance.
One final appearance.
Whole
better
lot of
than-
little dancing and not really going. So this is standard for them.
Yeah.
Right? This is
not
right
every
where it
not
is.
every 15 years. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They're rolling, man.
All right. So when we get
Consistent.
back, we're going to talk WNBA expansion as we get ready for the season tip-off. Too many good players are getting cut. We'll be right back on the Coaches Podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA SAVE Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE Project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, we're going to talk WNBA expansion. So it's been 15 years since a new franchise came into the league. Toronto is one of those cities that are on the list. They had a sold-out preseason exhibition game. Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, would like to see 2 more teams come in the league in the foreseeable future. So they're looking at the Bay Area, Toronto, Denver, Austin, Texas, Nashville, Charlotte, Portland. These are some of the cities that were mentioned. They some of them previously had teams like Charlotte. So what's the biggest problem with expansion? Hey, it's money. Okay, that's the biggest problem. The biggest issue isn't just whether the franchise consistently makes money. It's, do you have sustainability? The WNBA is going into its 27th season, and it's still in growth mode. You also have the NCAA women's game having success and NIL. So there is no rush to come out and make $62,000 a year when I can get 6 figures and in some cases 7 figures with the Cavender twins, doing my TikTok videos and, whatever else I'm doing. So when can we think of expansion? Possibly in 25, 26, something like that. So, Mike, you first, because you're a girl dad. Your daughter plays a little basketball. You coach one of the all-time greatest middle school teams in the history of the Tri-City region. Seriously, what are your thoughts on WNBA expansion?
Second to last place. It's there's problems. There's good players getting cut. That's a problem. There's not enough teams. But it all, like you said, it's money. If you can make more money in college than you can in the pros, then how can you grow? How can you grow college? How can you grow the pros? They should be focusing on growing college because
Angel Reese will take a pay cut when she goes to the WNBA.
He made what, $2 million? Is that right?
Is it more than the 67,000 that the number 1 pick gets?
She won't make that her entire WNBA career. She's going to do better. So the joke that Shaq made more money, he made all his money at LSU, it's actually going to be true. Like she's going to make, if she stays another 2-3 years, $6-7 million.
Yeah.
That's why. How can you get the pro game to grow if everyone wants to stay in college and find every year they can get because there's more money in college? They got to figure out the finances first before expanding, because that's only going to make it so the pot's smaller and it's harder to get to convince the good college players to go pro. It's a tough situation.
Will, what are you thinking about the WNBA expansion? Come on, we got to expand, man.
I think the talent is amazing. I think we're seeing a ton of young ladies who are out there who can really ball and they can play really ball. I think there's two things we can think about, and please nobody joking, because there's really two viable reasons. Are we really going to cut operations? You can't play in like an NBA stadium, maybe Paul like a little smaller, like in a college or like a big high school. You know, if you got 20,000.
The Mystics
30,000
has
people.
the entertainment center, and they seat like 5,000. So
Yeah.
it's always full.
Yeah, it's and operations, because now you're paying less people. You can pay your players more. Again, now what Dave Chappelle said, if everyone was equal, then y'all could just play in the NBA anyway, right? But the problem is they need to find a creative way to get people excited about the WNBA. Just like the farm team and the farm systems, they do so many fun stuff. I mean, they do like Game of Thrones night. They do like Baby Shark night. They do like 2 beers if somebody hits a home run. Like, just you have to.
Is that where we are, Will? We got to gimmick it.
Well, wait. Remember where the ABA was and the WNBA and the NBA was. Remember, the ABA was. It was hilarious. You know, you had all kinds of dudes, coming out taking half court shots, and they, all this stuff. You have to take some chances and do some things that are not traditional to get people to notice you and to really want. Because at the end of the day, what is it? What am I going to take me on a Friday night in a June or, to me to go watch a WNBA basketball? And some people would be like, well, I'm going to go watch baseball. Come on, dude. Like, but I'm actually going to seriously sit down and watch the games and be able to say, this is where they can improve. This is what we need. And this is what they can make it viable as a product, because at the end of the day, they have the best part, the assets, the players. They're so good, and as a man, they're also now they are looking so fine. Oh, these women are looking so good. I mean, they out here doing their things. They coming out with the hair, man. They got they looking fantastic. The standard look of that women basketball is no longer gone. Now they're like, these are bad women. These are fine. So I think there's a chance. I think now the iron is hot. Strike it.
I'll say college, they're doing a fine job of getting people to watch, because I'm looking it up, and let's see, they averaged 10 million viewers for LSU Iowa for the national championship game, which was up 103% from the year before.
Data.
Most watched title game in the history of the tournament, which goes back to 1992 when the records are there. So that's the article I just saw. So people want to watch college because college is doing a good job of getting people interested. WNBA's got to do that.
But there's a lot of love from your school. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people like for example, Maryland. You love Maryland wins.
I watch Maryland basketball.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. If you didn't go to Maryland, you probably wouldn't be watching them. I don't watch them. I watch St. John's women because I went to St. John's. So that's where you.
But I feel like they don't do a good job of because then all the Maryland women go to the WNBA and they don't. They need to market to the local markets.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
Try and get the
draft parties.
LSU fan, the Maryland fan, the Iowa fan, the Tennessee. I would be more likely to watch if it was advertised.
Have a draft party. Why not have a draft? I'm sure people don't even know when the WNBA draft is. Have a draft party.
It has come and it is gone. But I tell you what is coming. The season kicks off Friday. Mm-hmm. And Friday, May 19th. Yep. The New York Liberty will take on the Washington Mystics. That will be a nationally televised game. And Saturday, May 20th, the Las Vegas Aces will battle the Seattle Storm. So those will be our 2 games of the week. And as we close, fans, this week we're celebrating our 300th episodes. We have crossed over in the 300s. Very, very excited. I want to thank my partner, Coach Franchise. I want to thank our lovely heavenly voice, Sharita, our super producer, Kelly, as well as our many correspondents. And Will, any quick thoughts you have? Because man, this whole situation is unique for us on our 300th episode, and hope we make it to 600.
Oh man, I'm just happy, man. I mean, people would love to have a platform to be able to speak their mind about sports. I come out here, obviously, I don't get any compensation for this.
No budget production.
Exactly.
No budget.
But this is love. I love this, man. I love respective banter where we can talk to each other about, NFL, WNBA, NBA. I think a lot of people need to have that. I mean, people try to think it's Twitter, but there's a lot of disrespect that goes back and forth.
Yes.
Here, there's a lot of very good, respective conversation where you can even say something, and then Mike may say something. I'm like, oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. That you make a good point. And that's how it should run. Everyone thinks that it should be like ESPN, where it's back and forth. You're an idiot. You don't watch basketball. Da, 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 da. What I've learned is there's so many POVs of the sport, what they believe is wrong, the mentality they believe, and just having the ability to speak with you guys and connect with, obviously, my longtime friend, Coach Adams. This is all I can ask for. This is fun. I love this. Waiting for 600. Let's go, baby.
Mike, anything you want to add before we close, sir?
I'm just surprised you're not paying him, because I've been paid every time.
Yeah. He knows Adams don't come out the pocket for much. All right, so fans, on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.